Consular response involves helping people and their families in situations that are difficult that happen to them overseas. So some of these situations are things that would happen to them at home anyway, which would be hard to navigate, but they'd have the local systems to help them. Other situations are things that wouldn't happen if they weren't travelling. So helping people with things that they can't navigate themselves, and often really distressing times. It's the only job I've ever done where I go home most days and I know I've absolutely made a difference in someone's life. I'm Trudy. I'm a consular officer at the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. So we help people who are sick, maybe their families have died, they might be incarcerated overseas, maybe there's been an accident, they might be stuck, maybe they've lost their passport. There's a whole myriad of things from a really tiny issue to something that's really, really big and can go on for years and years and years. Some of the situations we deal with will be people who are caught up in political situations that they don't understand. So they might have travelled to a country, maybe it's their home country that they grew up in, but they're now Australian and they've gone home. So they don't really understand the situations they're in, and they might get themselves into trouble by going close to a protest or becoming involved in something that's complicated that they don't understand the ramifications of. I've helped people in a plane crash where a lot of people were deceased and we had to find the victims and help their families. Hospitalisation cases where people became really sick on holidays and they were not expecting to, and it was really distressing for them. Times when people were arrested for something small, maybe stealing sunglasses in the airport, which they thought was a funny joke, but actually wasn't really a funny joke and didn't turn out to be funny. There's probably two different types of cases that I find the hardest to deal with. The first one would be the cases where you really, really want to help and you can see that helping would be the best thing to do, but there's not much you can do. I've encountered a lot of cases like that working in the Middle East. Sometimes there'll be cases affecting women and children. The law and the way the law system is in those countries maybe isn't in their favour, so they might be stuck in a situation. A mum might be stuck overseas with her children and she can't bring them home to Australia and she can't work, doesn't have any money, is in a really bad situation. The other kind of cases that I find personally challenging, and I think this is pretty common for consular officers, are the cases where you can see yourself in the case. So, for example, a lot of cases are people doing silly things that they shouldn't do overseas, driving a motorbike drunk down the wrong side of the road with no shirt on, something like that. I can't see myself doing that. But the cases where you see yourself, so a family, they've saved up their money, they've taken their two children, a boy and a girl, the same as what I have, on a holiday, and then something really terrible's happened to them. They've all died in a plane crash. They're the cases that stay with you because you can't help but think that could be me, that could be my mum, that could be my sister. A really good way that I've learned to deal with it over the years is through colleagues. So there's a great group of people who do this work in the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and we're a really good team and we really back each other up. So if I've had a challenging case, I'll have a colleague, and maybe that colleague's not in Australia, they could be in Africa, they could be in Asia, but I'll give them a call and say, hey, I've had a tough day and I was dealing with this. And I know you've dealt with stuff like that before. And maybe we won't even talk about it, but just knowing that that person knows how you feel, that's comforting. Working for Foreign Affairs is really important to me. I'm super proud of the work that we do. I love being part of the team. I'm really proud to serve overseas, and we really do take good care of our citizens. People are always proud to be Australian when we're helping them overseas, and I can see why. When people are grateful and they're emotional and they're giving you their story of how grateful they are to be Australian, that gets me every time.